Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a quick follow-up to the last video that seems like a lot of you seem to have enjoyed. Again, we're talking about TJ Holmes and Amy Robach's podcast. There was some very interesting things that we heard from their last conversation that I captured and I discussed here on my channel. And today I wanted to discuss the episode that they put out a couple days after that one went up. Because as you can imagine, they got a lot of feedback from their audience. A lot of people had the same commentary that we had. And then I want to also discuss some of the things that they said that I really don't think applied to the conversation. And I personally feel that they were using as a kind of diversion from the real issues which came to light. And also I want to, at the end, discuss a little bit of the latest interviews that appeared on Club Shay Shay, the podcast by Shannon Sharp, Monique, and Cat Williams. I have some thoughts about both of those interviews and this obsession that we as a culture have with meanness and how I think is very toxic and unhealthy. And that being rude is not the same as being truthful. Okay, so I just wanted to discuss that towards the end and maybe do a longer video on that later, who knows? Because right now I'm just going through the one with Monique and I just didn't want to delve into it without hearing the whole thing. So let's go into the follow-up episode of Amy and TJ that I think is going to be very interesting. If you would like to hear more from me covering these topics, please subscribe to my channel and let's get right into it.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Amy and TJ podcast makeup edition, where we make up as a couple for the fight we got into for the previous episode. I'm kidding. Did we have making up to do after the last one?
Well, what happened, we made up, and then because we were re-listening to the podcast, having to re-listen to it brought up a lot of other emotions, I think for both of us, and we had to re-examine the fight because maybe it hadn't been completed.
Okay, so we haven't made up.
We're in the process of it.
Wow, even on that, we're in two different places because I'm done and I'm over it.
Oh, you know what?
I didn't know we were still working on
If you're
this.
over it, I'm over it.
What does that even mean?
Because
Oh my God. This is
I
not
would
how
really
this was
like to be over it.
This is not how this was supposed to go.
Right from the beginning, just as we had concluded in the last video, it was very clear that at the end of the conversation, when he pretty much just gave up and said, okay, baby, okay, I'll do better next time, we could tell that nothing had been resolved. So when Amy starts by saying, okay, we think we resolved it, because if you listened, I encourage everybody to listen to the episode. And at the end, even though he said he was frustrated, she kind of added some levity saying, hey, at least we got it out. We talked about it. I feel good about this. And they kind of laughed in the end without resolving anything. By listening back to it, I think Amy was the one who said, wait a minute, we really didn't solve this. We didn't get into the heart of what was the issue. And for those of you who might be lost about this, please listen to the previous video that I made on this situation. You will get a better picture. It was very clear that nothing was resolved. So when she brings it up at the beginning of this video saying nothing was resolved, he's like, what do you mean? I thought we had moved on. I want to move on. And then she defaulted into, okay, if you're over it, I'm over it too. And even he's saying, what does that mean? There is no depth in these conversations. They stay on the surface, and that's why things are not getting resolved. And as long as they continue to stay on the surface, avoiding getting real deep into these conversations, nothing is ever going to be resolved.
How about this? Did any of the reaction we got from the last podcast, what surprised you?
What surprised me the most is that people were surprised. Because I think if anyone has been in a relationship in their life, don't y'all fight? Don't you have issues? I think I was surprised that people said it was too soon for us to have a fight. We've been together as a couple officially for almost exactly a year and a half. We're close to it. We're coming up on it.
Okay, fair point. Couples fight. This is nothing new. I thought it was telling that she had to tell people the timeline of their actual relationship. And she said officially, because we knew that they were messing around behind their spouses' backs for a while before it was discovered. And so, yeah, to a lot of us, it feels like it's a new relationship because we just found out about the cheating. But obviously, they have been fooling around for a while. And so she's saying, we've been at this for a while. And listen, even young couples, even couples who are in the honeymoon stage, there might be disagreements. But I think the issue that most of us had with this, most of us who have been in relationships, who have had differences with our significant others, is that these issues that brought up needed to be addressed. It was surprising to see how these grown folks, Amy is in her 50s. I believe that TJ is also. I'm going to put their ages on the screen. At this age and after their relationships, and I think I mentioned it in the last video, Amy has been divorced twice. And TJ, I believe he's only been divorced once, but there's been lots of rumors about him being in various relationships throughout his marriage. These people at this point should understand where the other one is coming in the particular issues that they discussed in the last video. That's what was surprising to a lot of people, including me.
We should, if we didn't have a fight, if we didn't argue, that would be a red flag.
Do you really think there's a general idea, consensus for most level-headed folks that are surprised that two people in a relationship might have a disagreement?
And by the way, there was no yelling. I was actually really
Obviously
proud of
not.
us.
Yes.
I was proud of us when I listened, and I don't think we ever yell.
No.
So because there was no yelling, that was great. That was really good. Yeah, the bar is in hell. The bar is really low. A relationship can be dysfunctional. An argument can be ineffective, even without yelling, even with very little talking. If you don't get to the root of the problem, it's an ineffective argument. And people, if you're going to put it out there, people have a right to say their opinion.
This is the truth of the matter. I flat out said to both of you right there on the phone at 4:30 in the morning, East Coast time, that I don't want to put this out because this is going to, I fear, be viewed as a black man beating up on a white woman. Now, if anybody took their time and listened to that podcast, obviously, I was not yelling, screaming, I wasn't doing anything. Now, we are a couple who's having a disagreement, so obviously neither one of us are having our best moments. But my immediate concern was that. And you and Sugarman both like, wait, what?
I was shocked.
Okay, let's talk about this. Because in the last video, at least the discussion we had here, race was never brought up. I don't have any issues with interracial dating. I believe love is love. Love whoever loves you. Go where you're celebrated, not just tolerated. Black women. And so, at least in the discussions we had here in the comment section in the last video, race was never an issue. I don't know if I captured this from listening to the podcast, but they talk about how race was all over in the commentary that was made about that video, and it was clear that people were beating down on him because of his race. I never saw that. I followed this story. I looked at all kinds of comments. I did see a comment that he highlighted, and again, I don't think I recorded it for this video. Please listen to the podcast. It's on, if you have Apple Podcasts, it's free. You don't have to listen to it on Spotify or any of the ones that you pay. Any app where you can listen to podcasts, go ahead and listen to it for free. There was somebody who made the comment saying, but I know you guys are going to beat up on him and you're going to blame him because he's black, and that's going to be a problem in the eyes of blah, blah, blah. But honestly, I did not see that in any commentary. What I do believe that TJ was referring to in that moment, even though race never came up in their conversation, is that the fact that Amy started crying could be seen as, it could put him in a very precarious position as a black man in a relationship with a white woman. If a black man makes a white woman cry, historically, that has been a very dangerous thing in this country. We know that the tears of white women have been weaponized to victimize black people, particularly black men. And many times when white women start crying, it can be viewed as manipulative. Like, you know how much those tears matter in this society. So we are going to assume that you're being manipulative every time you cry, that you're trying to weaponize your tears to harm the people of color or to make us look bad, like we're attacking you. There's validity to that feeling, but I don't think it's fair to assume that every time a white woman starts crying, it now has a racial component and all the people of color are in danger. I don't think it's fair. I think we should take people for who they are, as they are. And if people have a pattern of using pity to kind of hurt other people and advance themselves, then yeah, we should call that out. But I don't think that it is fair to go there automatically. But I also understand why in this country in particular, that's the first place where TJ's mind would go. Because as a black man who was born and raised in this country, I can understand how that fear would be it would be triggered by something like this. And that is something that needs to be taken into consideration if you're going to get into an interracial relationship. You need to understand that among certain pockets of people, it's going to be an issue. And you need to be prepared. You need to have these discussions. It's very important to have these discussions before you get into these relationships, which is why what Amy's going to say next is kind of problematic. Let's go.
I was shocked. There's been a lot of things that I have learned personally from not only doing this podcast, but listening to it back and then hearing your reaction and then seeing the response. That would never have crossed my mind. Race, the fact that you're black and I'm white, would never have crossed my mind.
And that's a problem, Amy. That's a problem. I see a lot of people who are in interracial relationships with black people saying things like that. Oh, race, I never think about it. It's not an issue. I don't see color. The thought that, you are this color and I'm this color, it never enters my mind. I see what you mean. I get it. When people say, I don't see color, I understand what they're trying to say. But the reality is, if you are in a loving relationship with a black person in particular, there's other races of melanated people that go through similar things, but specifically, if we're going to talk about this, let's talk about a black person. If you are in a relationship with a black person, you need to be aware of the fact that their experience moving through this world in this country, in the United States, is going to be affected by the fact that they're a black person. They don't want us. We don't want this. We don't invite this into our lives. This invades our lives. Wherever we go, we are seen as black first, and depending on the person looking at us, that can be either a good thing or a bad thing for me, for us. And I think it's wonderful that in an interracial relationship, race is not the thing that is present. It's not the elephant in the room. I think that is wonderful. But you need to be aware of the fact that your beloved is going into the world with this target on their back, and to be a true partner and ally to this person you love so much, you need to be aware of that. Don't allow that to make you paranoid. Just be aware of this. Don't go through life thinking, oh, I don't have to think about this. Because what you're saying when you say that is, you and I live in completely different universes. You are over there where you think about those things, and I'm over here where I don't have to think about those things. I have the luxury of not having to consider the fact that we are an interracial couple and that people are going to look at you differently from the way they look at me. That's a luxury. And when you remind your beloved that you have that luxury, you make them feel alone. Like you're over there and I'm here. Instead of saying, I know what world you live in. I understand the realities that confront you every day. And I want you to know that I stand in that world with you. That you don't live that existence alone. Yes, I don't suffer the consequences because, I have the privilege of not having that on my back. But I want you to know that you're not alone when you're living that existence. when you are being looked at differently. I stand with you and I protect you. That is what we need as people of color, as Black people. If you're going to be in an interracial relationship with us, you need to be aware that you are in an interracial relationship with us. It's not a good thing for you to bask in the ignorance of, I don't have to think about race. It doesn't affect me. It didn't occur to me that me crying would make people be like, hey, wait a minute, is that black man bothering you, ma'am? You know, it's important that you become aware. Don't make it weigh down the relationship. Don't make it ruin the relationship. Don't let it introduce the poison into the relationship. But when the two of you present yourself into the world, he needs to know, I'm with you, partner. I'm with you. We're in this together. Yeah. So I know Amy means well. I want to make that very clear. Amy didn't say something bad. She exposed her thinking, but her thinking is flawed and she needs to correct that. She needs to understand, oh, this is not the same as my relationship with Andrew or my first husband. Things are different. My man is moving in a world that is hostile towards him, and I need to stand with him, protect him, or at the very least, just let him know, I see you. What you're going through, I see it, and I'm with you.
And that's kind of to your point. You have to think about things that I don't think about. And honestly, it took me a second to actually get my head around it. And once you explained it, and then once we've seen some of the reaction, a light bulb went off for me in a way. And it's just a constant learning curve, and I've said this the whole time, I don't know what I don't know, and every day I learn more about what I don't know. Seeing the headlines.
I don't want to do that again. Right? That's an honest answer, and I hate to be that kind of honest, because what I'm saying is I am now scared to speak my mind because of what the potential fallout is going to be. Anyone who took time, and I saw many of the comments were just people who listened to a 45-second teaser, a promo, or they read a headline, but it makes you hesitate to put yourself out there.
If that's the case, TJ, then maybe you shouldn't have a podcast with your girlfriend. Because the problem, again, let me go back to what I said at the beginning. The problem wasn't the fact that you're a black man. The problem was the things that you were saying. You were being dismissive to her feelings. You exposed, or she exposed, the fact that not only do you kind of isolate yourself when you're working at your desk, you ignore her, you don't talk to her, but you do it for days at a time. She said that. She said, when you ignore me, when you don't talk to me, and it goes on for days, it bothers me. That's a problem. And that's something that can happen in any relationship, interracial or otherwise. That was the issue. So you speaking your mind and getting criticized was based on the things that you guys were saying, that you were exposing about your relationship and how it appears that it's not as healthy as it should be.
You've always been strong. Like, I am not going to let the fear of somebody saying something negative about me keep me from. But man, after an experience like this, and I hate to say I told you so, but you and I talked about this, I said, watch what's going to happen.
You literally said that exact thing to me. I do want to say this to anyone who did actually listen to it, or maybe people who just think they know what was said based on clips and headlines, but I am not proud of the fact that I cry easily. I cry all the time. And so I want to say, as your girlfriend, arguing with you has been the most peaceful, respectful, even though it's frustrating, because all arguments are, I think, because you're not seeing it the way I want you to see it, and I'm not seeing it the way you want me to see it. But I have never had more respectful disagreements with anyone in my life than I have with you. You are very measured and calm and logical. And I tend to be more emotional And
Actually, Amy, based on the little snippets that we heard, and I have to admit, they are right. They presented to us a 45 minutes to an hour conversation, an argument in the last episode. And that is not an indication of the entirety of their relationship. I understand that. I get that. But it was enough of a window into the relationship that painted a very clear picture of that particular issue that they have, of him shutting down and her desperately needing his attention. That's what was discussed. And so I get it. It wasn't the full picture. But based on what we heard, you're saying that this is the best, what did she say? That he's logical and measured and respectful. Okay, that's good. But he's also dismissive. He will completely ignore the point that you're trying to make. He will not investigate, okay, where's this coming from? Where is this need that you have to always have my attention? Let's talk about that. Let's explore this. He doesn't do that. And when you don't back down, he just goes, okay, baby. He throws his hands in the air and says, okay, baby. Okay. All right. Whatever you say. All right. Yeah, I'll do better next time. That's not a good argument. That's not respectful. It's dismissive.
to what everyone is saying, I actually am shocked because I'm thinking to myself, were you in the same, did you hear the same conversation I heard? Because I heard somebody who actually never raised his voice. And even though he was frustrated, never lost his cool or his temper.
Again, the bar is in hell. What does that have to do with anything? Him not yelling, that's the minimum. People shouldn't be yelling at each other when they're having arguments, by the way. If you think that's normal, that is not normal. That is abusive. And it is, it's abusive. And it's not okay when it happens. Whether it's a man yelling or the woman yelling, there should be no yelling while couples are having a discussion. It's not healthy.
I was impressed. I have been impressed with how you've handled arguments.
You're welcome.
Let's argue more. Let's argue more. Kidding. No. And it's funny because you asked me what I was surprised by. But something else that surprised me is how surprised people were that I was insecure. I think some people actually said, you're too old to be insecure. I'm like,
I was surprised also by her neediness. I don't think being insecure is surprising at whatever age. You know, it's hard being a woman in this world. We're picked apart and criticized and judged and blah, 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 blah. So getting to the age of 50 with a sense of self is a great triumph. But you still have some residual insecurities. I get it. I just turned 50. I'm the most confident I've ever felt about myself. But I still have residual insecurities that hopefully will fall off eventually. But her need for constant attention, if she sees him working at his desk, turning his back on her in silence, if that makes you afraid, this is a pathology that needs to be examined. You need to fix that. That's not normal. After 2 marriages, this third relationship that is very significant, and this is still an issue that you still feel, oh no, if he's not talking to me every minute, maybe something is wrong, maybe he's gonna leave me. That's surprising. That's surprising. At your age, yes.
really, there's an age at which you stop worrying or thinking that maybe you aren't enough. I don't know. And look, it's not something that feels good to say, yes, I have insecurities. Yes, I am insecure at times. And that also is surprising to me. It's not easy to admit, but I feel like if we're all being honest, all of us have different degrees of insecurity. Maybe mine's just...
Yeah, yours is different. Those are all the clips I wanted to play for this episode. I don't know. They haven't learned anything. Nothing was resolved since the last episode. And the whole race conversation, even though very valid, I think it's a distraction. I think the real issue that made people raise their eyebrows is the fact that they're not meeting each other. She's very needy and he's very, he's easily turned off from the relationship. He can be cold. He can be dismissive. And they need to fix that if they want to continue having a relationship. So yeah, let me know what you think. Now, on the next video, maybe not the next video, maybe, I don't know. But I definitely want to break down the Monique interview in Club Shay Shay. And I want to also touch on the Cat Williams one, because it just seems to me that people who have problems with everybody tend to have this thing that they say, people don't like me because I tell the truth. I'm a truth teller, and that's why I fight with everybody. Well, people appreciate an honest person. Telling the truth is a good thing. Now, if you're the type of person who only tells the truth when it's to insult, when it's to put down, when it's to accuse, that's a different thing. And Monique, I'm so glad that this is a small channel, because I don't think she'll ever see this video or the next one I might make, because she gets really upset when anybody pushes back on her. But she reserves the right to push back on everybody. And we have to applaud it when she does it. But when somebody else does it, it's a problem. They're a hater. And we as a culture, and specifically I'm talking about Black people, we need to get off this thing that we enjoy the tea and the mess and the drama. And we applaud people that bring us that kind of entertainment. And we talk about, yes, we love Cat Williams. Yes, we love Monique. You love the mess. And there's a difference. You can tell the truth. It's very good to be honest, but you don't have to be mean and nasty. And I'm going to talk about more of that in the next video when I finish watching the interview. But let me know what you think about, if you are even aware of Club Shay Shay and the Cat Williams interview, and now the Monique interview is kind of making the same splash that the Cat interview did, because she's calling out people. She's keeping it real. And those are just code words for she's being nasty. She's being mean. I find that entertaining, so I applaud it. And that's not okay. That is horrible. But we'll discuss this in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see me talk more about these topics, and you'd like to see me talk about different topics in society and in pop culture. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Please join the discussion in the comment section below. Please share it with others. I would really enjoy it if you would share this. I'm trying to grow my channel, and sharing is one of the best ways that the channel can spread and grow. Thank you once again for watching this video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.